Welcome back. I started this channel as the American Audit, but I realized I don't want to just look for things to be angry about. I want to look at how things make sense in this troubled world. So we're changing the name to Level-Headed with me, Rob Moon, because it's easy to get lost in the macro of the headlines, troubled world events and such, like the government agendas, the shifting power dynamics, and the headlines that seem designed to keep us outraged and divided. But while we can't always control what happens in the halls of power, we have a massive amount of agency in our own lives, our families, our local communities. And there's a lot of that. People tend to get outraged and lost when it comes to a world of events and narratives. You know, trillions in debt, the global trade wars, policy shifts that seem to change with whatever direction the wind is blowing, to overall fear and uncertainty. And then it hit me. Most of us are spending 80% of our mental energy on things we have no control over. We're obsessed with the macro. The macro is the big stuff. It's the government, the Federal Reserve. It's corporate boardrooms in cities we'll never visit or be a part of. And if you look at the macro right away, it's easy to see that it's broken. Now, it's a system designed for its own survival, not necessarily yours. But here is the level-headed reality that nobody wants to admit. The macro, it doesn't care about you. It's not personal. It's just too big to be personal. So if you spend your life waiting for the macro to fix itself so you can finally be happy, you're going to be waiting a very long time. You're basically handing control of your life to people who do not even know your name or care to. And that's why today I want to talk about the micro. The micro is your driveway. It's your kitchen table. It's your bank account, your health, and your relationship with your neighbors. The macro might be broken, but your micro, it's still under your management. So let's talk about how we reclaim that agency. The first thing that we have to do is stop what I'm going to call the outrage leak. Every time you get angry at a politician on the screen, you're leaking energy. You're giving away your most valuable asset, your attention, for free. And what do you get in return for that? Nothing but a higher heart rate and a sense of powerlessness. Common sense tells us that if a behavior yields zero results, we ought to stop doing that. Now, I'm not saying don't care. I'm saying care effectively. Now, Stoicism, it's one of the pillars that we talk about here. It teaches us to draw a circle. Now, inside that circle is everything you can control. Your effort, your reactions, and the way you treat your family. Now, outside of that circle, that's stuff like the weather, the economy, the opinions of strangers, all the things that you cannot control. Now, if you want to be level-headed, you have to stop living outside of your circle. Now let's look at the math of your life, the macro. That's where the economy is printing money and devaluating the dollar. Okay? That's a fact. But the micro, that economy, is your money. That is about how you can control its flow and self-reliance. If the cost of living is going up, the common sense response isn't just to complain about the inflation. It's to audit your dependencies. Who do you owe for your survival? Now, if you're relying on a giant corporation for every calorie you eat, a giant bank for every roof over your head, and a giant tech company for every bit of your entertainment, look, you're not a citizen. You're only a customer, and customers are meant to be harvested and exploited in this deal. Now, self-reliance is the only true hedge against the broken macro. Can you fix one thing of your house instead of calling a pro? Can you grow one thing in your yard beside buying your food in a plastic box? Can you learn a skill that makes you so valuable to your local community that the national job market doesn't matter as much? Look, fixing your micro means shortening your supply lines. The closer your needs are to your front door, the safer you are from that storm. Look, the macro wants us divided. The more profitable when we're in red and blue boxes. Division creates content. Content creates clicks, and clicks, that creates them revenue. But look out your car window right now, okay? Look at your neighbor. You probably have more in common with the guy across the street than you do with anyone in the news. Look, you both want a safe neighborhood. You both want your kids to have a better life than you did. You both want a fair shake for a hard day's work. That is common ground. Now, if the macro is broken because it's too big and cold, the micro is fixed by being small and warm. So start a conversation. Help someone move a couch. Share some eggs from those chickens that you're going to get eventually. When the big systems fail, and they always do, eventually, the village is what actually survives. But you can't buy a village. You're going to have to build one. So here is what I want you to take away from this video. Stop checking the macro every 5 minutes. Turn off those notifications and spend an extra hour looking at your micro. Look at your health. Look at your budget. Look at the person sitting across from you at dinner and ask yourself, look, if the national news didn't exist, how would I improve my life today? Now that's where your power is, and that's where your agency is going to live. We're not victims of a broken world unless we choose to let the broken world live inside of our heads. So be the adult in the room. Stay level-headed. Focus on the micro and let the macro take care of itself. There's a lot in this world that isn't right, but there's a lot we can find common ground on. Now, if you're ready for that, hit the like and subscribe. Now I'm going to go inside and be with my family now. That's my micro, and it's doing just fine. So drive safe, and I'll see you in the next one.